Coming to you live from the Stream.tv studios in Hollywood, California, Pensado's Place is brought to you by Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Avid, Recording Connection, Studio 202, Slate Media Technologies and Slate Digital, and Audio Technica.
Our guest is a friend of the family. Going to tell you a lot about live tracking, a bunch of other stuff, plus a story we're really proud of that goes back to our beginning. We've got Gear Expo information. We've got a brand new ITL. Yay! Dave shot 4 of them. He was a beast yesterday. And we've got some calendar information that's important to you. You're at the place. It's Pensado's Place. Yay.
Hey guys, glad you're coming hanging out with us today. Going to be a fun-filled day, and I'm going to learn something. How about you, Herbert?
I'm going to learn something too, like every week, because my live tracking needs some improvement.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I was a little uncomfortable trying to figure out a way to bring that up.
I recognized in the mix problems as you sent them back to me. It was all my work. We're full. Should we get to it?
Yeah.
Okay. As I said, we are chock-a-block full. Hi, everybody. Time for another romp through audio land. Glad to have you on board with us. It just ain't the same without you. Getting toward that 90,000 mark on the subscriber front. You guys are absolutely amazing. God, Dave, can we hit 100,000 before Gear Expo?
I hope not. I mean, that's scary that many people care.
It is amazing.
Good group.
Amazing group. Here at Pensado's Place, we just have the best sponsor family in the world. Vintage King, the Blackbird Academy, Audio Technica, Avid, Studio 202, Slate Media, and the Recording Connection. Here's what they're up to. All are heavily prepping for Gear Expo Nashville. It takes place Saturday, September 27th at the gorgeous Vintage King facility. From 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., you can see and experience the best gear in the world inside the showroom. Outside, it's a block party, food trucks, beer garden, product demos, music, some very cool vendors, and some really special guests, such as Jakir King, Kings of Leon, Chuck Ainlay, Miranda Lambert, and Pistol Annie's, Leslie Braithwaite, he did Happy and 2 Chainz, he's coming up from Atlanta. For you live guys, the Vice President of Morris Light and Sound, Danny Rosenbaum. Session folks, meet John Willis. He plays for Chesney, Florida Georgia Line, and Luke Bryan. If you're in the Christian and gospel space, meet Matt Maher. Opens for the Pope, good friend of ours.
Open for us.
Closed for us, actually. Robbie Burrell, multiple Grammy and Dove winners, both of them. Hot producer Dave Cobb will be there. Rockers Ryan Hewitt and Steven Slater coming from L.A., and I just heard this morning that Wes Dooley, our buddy, Wes is coming down to Vintage King to Gear Expo cool. Nashville. And that ain't all. We got more we're going to announce next week. Speaking of cool vendors, look at this list that you see right here of all the supporting guys that are going to have booths so you can get stuff from them, learn from them. There'll be a lot of manufacturer reps. Make sure you're there. All of them are great, and we are so pleased to have them on board. We thank them.
Yes.
Got confirmation of another special guest. Legendary fashion icon, the rhinestone Rembrandt himself, Manuel, will be at Gear Expo. Now, just so you know who this cat is, he dressed Johnny Cash, Elvis, Dylan, and a host of others. His clothing is the epitome of Americana music. He's a Nashville fixture, a complete Nashville superstar. He is joining us, and we're going to try to find some ways where some of that iconic clothing can be protected, maybe inside Vintage King, maybe inside Blackbird Studios, so you can he will actually be there, and you'll be able to see that stuff. Plus, a lot of pilks are going to be wearing his gear.
It's really cool.
Manuel, we're so thankful to be there. This guy's an absolute stud. That ain't all. You can jump on the Pensado Express tour bus, hitch a ride to the recording mecca known as Blackbird Studios, take an exclusive tour that will run about every half hour or so, bring your buns back, and keep the party going. Thanks to our brother John McBride for that. Plus, we'll be giving away product from Isotope, McDSP, Ultimate Ears, Audio Technica, Slate, Gobbler, G-Tech, and I'm going to have more to announce next week. Tweet and Instagram boards will be up. Capture your photos, get them up in the air right away. You'll be able to pose with the bus and have a backdrop like a red carpet. We are going to rock the joint, okay? Get there. Go to GearExpoNashville.com. You can see the link right here. Put in your email, and you're good. The Master Blaster Chevy will update it weekly with more panelists, parking information, everything you need to make this really easy for you. So don't hesitate. We had a tremendous response in the first couple weeks. Schools in the area, want to see you there. Surrounding states, want to see you there. Saturday, September 27th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Dave and I will be there. Want to sign a poster for you, take a flick, get to know what you're doing. It's going to be a ball. Are you going?
Yeah. I got a technical problem to discuss with you.
Please.
During that whole thing, I sit here going, yeah, I'm never on camera. I need a little tiny picture-in-picture so people can see me go during that whole thing.
JD, make note of that. We're going to get we're going to get a bobblehead.
My facial expressions
camera.
are good. I'm like,
oh, we got to capture those. We'll start doing it as a two-shot.
sorry, what was the question?
No, but doesn't this sound like a good time?
Oh no, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a function that you've blessed with your intellect, it's going to be a great time. But you know what? What you and I enjoy is just seeing people that we've either seen online or heard from or saw at another event. It's so much fun, and I'm not saying that just to be condescending. It really is fun to hang out with you guys, see what you're doing, see what you like. Mm-hmm. Tell us what you want to see more of. Tell us what you want to see less of, and it's for you guys. So be a part of this, and it's a good time to catch us because we're in a good mood.
Absolutely. And to be fair, kudos to Chevy, kudos to Chad, kudos to Stephanie Spitfire Willis on the ground. Lots of folks are making this happen. So before ITL, a couple of calendar items. So pull up your calendar. You got it. Good. Go to September. Good. So right after Gear Expo, Dave will be the professor in residence at Blackbird Studios for their Blackbird Session Series. That's September 29th through October 3rd. Now, if you can come, afford it, and spend a week, you'll find out about Dave, his approaches, solutions, his workflow, and his philosophy. This is something you won't regret. People don't often get this deep dive. I think you've done one of these in the last 3 years at this level. Mm-hmm. So it's a good time for those who can make it. It's not for everybody. I understand it can be a bit pricey, but it's not pricey for what they're offering. So we'll find ways to do that. Here's what you do. Contact Karma Banstra at theblackbirdacademy.com. That's CARMA at theblackbirdacademy.com. So Gear Expo September 27th. Dave at Blackbird Studios 29th through the 3rd. And then also in October, the AES convention in Los Angeles is October 9th through 12th. Now the chairman, they've graciously asked Dave and I to be the feature on their platinum panel on October 10th at 2 o'clock. That's a Friday. They said, what do you want to do? And I said, let's flip the script. So for the first time, we're going to have somebody interview Dave and I.
That's going to be fun.
And we're not going to be prepared for it, and we'll just spill all the beans, right? But here's how cool AES is. They have graciously offered our audience a special VIP code which gets you into the exhibits for free. Plus, you can attend all the special events like the Project Studio Expo and the Live Sound Expo and a whole bunch more, all for free. Now, how cool is that from AES?
Extremely cool.
Yeah.
It ain't your granddaddy's AES.
That's right.
This is the new improved AES. This is going to be a ball.
This is Bob Moses and Michael McDonald's new AES. That's what this is. So register now at aes.org/Pensado, aes.org/Pensado. It's going to take place right in the heart of downtown LA, which is Entertainment Central, super hot, easy to get to. You can network, meet people, a ton of workshops, and general AES coolness all around. This is an organization you might consider becoming a member of. They are taking what they were and evolving into something really new and interesting. So go right now, take advantage of this really special offer, and it's a VIP offer. Now, Dave and I will be at the Platinum panel on Friday, and then we'll also be at our fabulous partner Audio Technica's booth on Saturday at 1 p.m. I think we're doing an AMA Reddit. Audio Technica is going to launch a couple new hot products there. We're going to help out with that. And that AES offer gets you into all these things. Matter of fact, speaking of Audio Technica, they sent us the product line they currently have. They're launching the 2 new things at AES. And when Changor, he opened the boxes, and I was like, whoa, look at the craft.
Yeah, the
Tell
craftsman.
them about this.
Well, I mean, obviously what it sounds like is what's important, but the craftsmanship on this thing is just incredible. I mean, you guys know how much I love knobs, but this thing is just a pleasure to hold.
Now this is the 50/40.
Feel
correct?
that, man.
Wow.
It's
That's serious stuff.
yeah, it's so well built. Just this little switch right here that releases the mic from the holder. Just look at that machine.
well thought out.
Everything is, and this is one of my all-time favorite mics. It really sounds amazing.
Is that the 50/40?
This is the 50/40. I believe Higgins on the Tonight Show uses this mic. We'll corroborate that, but I'm pretty sure.
And I think our director has used this mic too. The real point we're making is that, and we've been telling you product is coming and so forth. We try to really sit with folks and have folks involved with the show who take their crafts as seriously as we take ours. And I'm telling you, Audio Technica is no joke.
I'll give you a demonstration. This is what I sound like without the mic.
Okay.
This is what I sound like with the mic.
Very sexy.
Yeah.
Well, they put
opens it up.
They put a special connector in my car. And me and the mic were riding around. We were just talking. And I saw some civil unrest. I grabbed the mic and said, "Freeze!" And the whole block put up their hands. I mean, it's that powerful of a mic. It's really incredible.
Yeah.
So
and it does come complete with ammunition too.
absolutely. Well, if they didn't put their hands up, I was going to take the next step.
No, this thing is like crafted like just ooh.
And on top of that, before we introduce the ITL, what you should know is that the people behind the scenes working on it, their craftsmanship is just as high too. These are folks we really like. So back to AES. Show up, show out. Dave and I want to see you there. There might be one other thing that we're doing for Al Leonard, but we'll figure that out. We'll keep updating you on all that stuff. So, bunch of good things, guys. September 27th, Gear Expo. September 29th through October 3rd, Dave at Blackbird. October 9th through 12th, we're going to have a whole bunch of fun at AES LA. Got a lot of brand new ITLs. Got some real interesting guests that we got coming up. A lot of stuff going on in Pensado land. And a lot of stuff going on because of you. So as Dave and I do, we always thank you. DP?
Yes.
Why don't you introduce our ITL?
Well, this week's ITL is I want to show you how I get tracks to be wide. Now, when I say tracks, I mean the music part of a song, and it's kind of a neat technique. Check it out. A lot of times I'm walking down the street and people come up to me, "Dave," I go, "Yeah, how do you get your track so fat and wide?" I'm going to show you today. Now, I'm using the word track to mean just the music, so I might have scammed you on that one, but at least it's not 20 ways to find sexy women or something like that online. I'm telling you now, I'm admitting this, that I scammed you. So, here's a song by J.P. Rendy, very, very extremely talented cat. I'm going to play you a little bit of the song. Now, when I started this mix, I thought, this is really cool because I've got EDM elements in here I've got to make sure work. I've got rock elements in here that have to work. I got a badass banjo. You guys know that I'm not a big fan of banjo sounds, but I love this banjo in this song. A little bit of mandolin. I'm trying to make all these things work as a cohesive pop song. So one of the things that I liked about what I did that I want to share with you is, let me show you something. Now here's the track without any effects, just the music. I thought, man, that's pretty good. It needs to be a little more exciting. So this is EQing, everything's being EQ'd going in here, but I didn't like, I thought I could improve it, so I added this. Now, this 1K, I'm reserving that for some other things in the vocals, so that's why I'm dipping it a little bit. And then this is nothing more than just cleaning up some of the low end I had. It leaves a little spot for the bass. Now, you guys seen me use Matthew Lane's Dr. MS. I use this a lot. Now, this is a preset that I modified. Dylan Dresdo did this preset originally, and then I modified it a little bit. At least I hope I did. So this is without it. With it. Woo! That's so good. Now, I can control the amount of mid. I can control the amount of side. Now let's see what that does in the mix. Okay, there's everything together. Let's take Dr. MS off. That is so good. Whew. Okay, next time you see me on the street, just say hello, because now you know how to make your tracks fat and wide, so you don't need that info. Hey man, thanks for hanging with me. We had some fun. All right, bye.
The Echo Bar. It's a very cool place. We know it really well.
Yeah.
Helmed by two friends of ours, one who is here. Welcome to the desk, somebody you're going to learn a lot from. We've known for a long time, and we share a really interesting story that was pivotal in Pensado's place. Please welcome Bobby Horn. Bob.
Thanks for having me.
What up, bud?
What's up, Roberto?
So, man, we got a lot to go over. I think where he started is really interesting. Why don't you fire away the camera?
Okay. One of the things that amazes me about your journey from A to B, A being Berkeley School of Music, take me on your path from there to here.
Basically, when I left Berkeley, I was talking to alumni that had graduated the year earlier, and they all came to LA, and they were whining on the phone that there was no live tracking out here.
Yeah.
And this was in '98, and it was very, big hip hop explosion.
That's right.
And they were like, it's all drum machines and vocals, and as an engineer that just graduated, it wasn't that fun for them. So I ended up deciding to go to Nashville, and just because I really wanted to make sure I got that live tracking experience. I mean, I've always prided myself on being well-rounded, not just knowing one aspect of what we do. So went to Nashville for 3 years and assisted Justin Niebank, J.R. McNeely, Steve Marcantonio, just great engineers. And
Amazing.
probably 40 plus engineers down there that I just learned everything I could from all of them, watching them track. And there's nothing like Nashville for tracking. I mean, you've got 5 to 7 guys in the room all at once, all playing, this, just doing 1-2 takes, and that's it.
And that's it.
So it's a great place to learn tracking. Mm-hmm. So went there, and then
out here.
After about 3 years, I was kind of tired of the genre. I mean, country's great, but it's not. I didn't grow up on it, and kind of had my fill, and did have a bunch of friends out here in LA, so decided to move out here, and felt I got a good tracking background, and so I came out here to try and be a mixer.
Did the live tracking experience you picked up there? I know when we were there, it was interesting for me to learn so much about the structure and discipline of how they approach live tracking.
Yeah.
They get in, they take a break for lunch, they're done at the end of the day, they get 1 or 2 takes, they know during a session how to let each other shine in it intuitively.
Yeah.
The expertise is just insane.
Yeah. Everyone expects you to be on your game there in Nashville.
Yes.
The assistants, engineers are the best in the world.
Yeah.
Nothing against my hometown, but Nashville assistants are the best. They expect that your part will be handled, and they won't even have to think about it. Right. So they're just going to concentrate on their instrument, their production, whatever they're doing, and you're handling what you're supposed to be doing. So.
Did it translate Nashville to LA, the live tracking thing? Did learning that there become an asset here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely found myself doing tracking, not as much these days as when I first moved out here, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love tracking a good band, and having those skills from Nashville definitely help, and kind of lends a different sound than some of the guys that came through, the LA guys.
Absolutely. How good is his live room?
Oh, I think it's, if not the best in town, it's like within a millionth of a percent the best. Oh,
It's insane.
yeah. Plus his partner Eric Rikers, who's just a beast when it comes to tracking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's my first choice. If you guys want to make a record, you got to check the Echo Bar. Hey Bob, when you're mixing, and you sit down and do the mix, and you go through it, you get some EQing in, some compression in, a little bit of effects. How close to completion is that? Do you come back and tweak a lot more, or after that first initial, are you like Alan Meyerson where you touch it and never touch it again?
A little bit, kind of. I used to be more like that. Now, what I try to do is get things in quickly, so I'm not spending half the day with just half of the song in there. So I try to get as much as I can, that's the meat and potatoes, in listening to that. And I'll EQ stuff, and usually it's pretty dang close. But I definitely, once I'm near the end and almost all the 90% of the tracks are in, I definitely do another pass through and make sure I don't want to tweak some frequency to help something blend in with something new that I just turned on 10 minutes ago, So I kind of do a couple passes, one major pass, and then near the end, a couple little ones, just
The major
double
pass,
checking.
you're not bringing in all the tracks, you're just bringing in the major components,
Yeah.
kicks, snares, vocals, things.
Yeah, major drums. I'm not worried about triangles and shakers and stuff. And then whatever the main keyboard or guitar thing is, the bass, lead vocal.
And how many hours do you have in the mix at that point in time?
Probably my first hour is all set up and learning the song, and probably in about like 2.5, 3 hour mark.
That's pretty cool. In terms of balance, like in the mix, is there a philosophy or a process you have that helps you get to that point where like a meal, where all the spices are right and the cornflakes and milks are matching up? And I mean, how do you approach the balance part? You've got everything EQ'd, now you're trying to get everything have a spot, be heard.
My favorite way is having a rough mix that the producer or artist did, that I can quickly reference their balances to know where levels were, and then decide if I want to keep my version of that or vary it. And that's the fastest way for me, because I know it's probably going to be what they're looking for level-wise. But I don't know, it changes. It's funny, like I'll have a drum and bass and guitar balance and then put the lead vocal in, and all of a sudden the guitars, I want them different, so I'll push them up a little bit. So it's always a ongoing adjustment. I mean, I'm kind of all over the place, back and forth to instruments throughout the whole process.
So, which begs the point, what is it that you use to place the vocal in the mix? Like for me, when I get the vocal and the instruments together, I kind of go by the way it feels. Sometimes I like it a little louder, sometimes I like it tucked in. What is your philosophy about placing the vocal within the framework and context of a mostly completed mix?
The way I approach vocals, I use a really good amount of compression on vocals, but I try to make sure you don't hear it. But I use fast release compression, which moves your vocal forward. If you have, say, the CLA 76 plugin, and you have that on your vocal, just turn the release all the way to the right. That vocal will move like 6 inches forward. And so I start with the vocal as up front as I can get it, way too loud, and start processing it, EQing it, de-essing it, and then I just start backing it in until it sits nicely, and then I might have to adjust something. Now something might start to cover it, so I'll have to EQ or move that and mold that back a little bit, and then I can move the vocal back a little more until I find my sweet spot. So,
I want to ask you a question. Like, I love what you did on the Akon record. You mixed Timbaland, Usher, Everclear, but on the new Lupe Fiasco record, the song Mission. You guys, it's on Spotify. Check out Lupe Fiasco, Mission. How did, like on Lupe's raps, it just feels like he's right in the room. Is that the technique you used on that vocal to get it to be so in my face?
Yeah, it's medium attack compression with fast release, and I really try to level out vocals with compression and limiting, but I'll use more limiters and compressors rather than trying to kill it with just one. So that way it's more transparent. And then once I get it to where it's sitting nicely, I go through with little automation pushes and push up the consonants and words, just to poke them out a little bit. And all that combined kind of helps it seem real in your face.
So when you use multiple compressors and limiters, you start with a compressor first,
Yep.
and then some EQ,
Yeah.
maybe a de-esser somewhere in
Exactly.
that, and then another limiter.
Yeah, sometimes I'll use something like the MV2 or the L2 or the soft tube CL1B is a good one. And that one's working a lot less hard than the first initial one.
Okay.
The first initial
What ratio are you using on the first one? 4-to-1?
Yeah.
Too cool. On that same song, the singing parts, how did you distinguish, like the singing parts sound like they just match her. It's like he goes from singing and then to Lupe. I don't think Lupe's singing those parts, is he?
No.
But there's a flow from one to the other. The singing has effects. Lupe has less effects. How did you pull that off?
It probably just happened naturally. I mean, I chose Lupe really likes slap delays on his raps, and he likes actually a fairly wetter rap sound than a lot of guys do. But the singer, I probably used some of the same plugins that I used on him. They were just louder.
Oh, okay.
The returns,
And by the way, that Everclear record, Invisible Star, what was, huh?
Yeah.
What would be different on the way you approach the vocal on that record, a rock record, as opposed to singing and rapping on a rap record? What would be different? Same process?
Yeah, I mean, gear-wise, the same process. It's just
Different effect.
different effects. Whatever fits that particular song.
Going back to Lupe, the kick on that song is so busy, but incredible. I mean, it's just the perfect part, combined with the percussion. When you've got a kick that busy, if you put the wrong low in, it just sounds like, because it never stops being low in.
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
We just a lot of molding with EQ and a lot of car checks, and we waited a few days to let it go just to be sure we knew.
Whoa. So you didn't finish this mix really quick. Over days, periods of time.
We did the
talking.
mix in
no,
one.
Bob.
We did the mix
when
in one
was
day.
it finished?
But we
Bob,
weren't ready to release
Bob, don't die. Help me, Herb.
Bob.
I'm sitting there feeling inadequate because it takes me like 18 hours to do a mix, and he's sitting here telling the world he does a mix in 4 hours. But we're finding out the truth here, Herb.
I didn't want to say anything.
I think we're finding out the truth.
But that bass drum, it's almost like a snare roll, and some of the parts really, really fast. And also that being that was a single, we knew it would be probably broadcast and listened into some substandard places and
Substandard places. We got to remember that one.
lots of laptop listens,
There was no live tracking on the Lupe record, was there?
On the album, not
There
on
was-
that song
no.
though.
Okay, gotcha.
But that was a hard thing, just making sure it wasn't too bass heavy, because of those things that the mix had to get loud, And
When I was at Echo Bar, did I hear you mixing a version with Jennifer Hudson in it and Common?
there's a remix called Remission, which is coming out I think next week, and it has Jennifer.
Is that the Cancer Connection? Tell us about the Cancer Connection, then.
Yeah, basically the song is, it's basically stories about 3 different people. When Lupe's 3 verses are 3 stories about cancer, people that are dealing with cancer. And the intro of the song starts out with all these people talking about how they beat cancer and originally the song was called F Cancer, and they changed it to Mission. But yeah, everyone involved with it kind of has some dealing with a family member who passed away from cancer or a friend, and even Katie Couric, she heard the song and ended up interviewing Lupe because she lost her husband.
That's right, to
you know,
to colon cancer. And she came to the studio and interviewed you
yeah,
guys?
she came and interviewed him,
very
and yeah, so it's kind of his little cancer movement.
Oh, that's really cool.
Really well done. Well, the song's incredible. Lupe is one of my favorites.
And good for Lupe. Lupe's a
And
smart
Bob just took it to another level. Bob, you're a great bass player, and as a bass player, give me some insight into some of the problems that you routinely run into when people give you bass parts. Is there some advice you could give us?
Some of the bigger problems have to do with either producers using multiple basses or 808s with like a synth bass, and they don't consider the 808 a bass, they consider it a kick drum, so they go ahead and put a synth bass in there too, and there's just not room for all that. They have notes that conflict. I mean, an 808 is an actual musical tone, and it's a pitch, and if you have a synth bass, sometimes it'll play that pitch, but then it's playing other pitches. It'll conflict, and of course everyone wants their drums big, they want their bass big, they want the low end big, and a lot of times there's just not room for all that stuff, so something has to give way. So
How do you do that? You just carve it out of the bass itself and keep the low stuff in the 808?
try to feel which one feels better, more important, will suit the song better. Hopefully they just don't do that, but sometimes it's just unavoidable, and so
Okay.
and then other times just keeping all the other instruments, pianos and other instruments, from taking up that space where the bass kind of starts. Its fundamentals, keeping that area clean or tighter to where the bass can have its own spot. I like to feel like when I mute the bass that there's not a huge hole missing, but a little bit of the weight is gone from the mix, and then you put it
Okay.
back in and it fills up again.
That's interesting, because I notice at this part of my career, I like muting things and see what happens when they're gone as much as sing.
Yeah.
Is that an advanced technique?
I got that in my first class in music
He's never going to
school.
speak to me again. I've witnessed you do this. You're the way you select vocal mics. It always just impresses me, the mic you choose. When you are recording a vocal, like a lot of people at home can only get one mic, but let's say they're choosing a mic. What are some of the things you would listen for when selecting a mic for a vocalist, which would probably be the same as selecting a mic for yourself at home, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're a home producer recording many artists and you can only afford one mic right now, and kind of try to get an average of what people say is good. But if you're an artist yourself, or you have the money for a couple of different mics, I pick vocal mics based on what the singer, what makes them feel good when they get on the mic and they say, oh, this sounds good in the headphones, and they feel comfortable. That's a really good sign, because they're going to perform better.
Yeah.
So that's almost more important than it sounding good. And at that point, it probably sounds good too. But and then after that, it's just, as far as it sounding good, just finding the mic that they sound the best at, and you have to know their entire range. Do they sing loud? Do they get nasal when they sing loud? You can't just check them on a quiet verse, picking the mic, and then later on they start singing, and they're getting nasally and small, and then all of a sudden it's the wrong mic. So,
And would you pick a mic that as a mixer, would you pick a mic that has all the frequencies you want for the mix, or would you pick a mic that you could fix in the mix? In other words,
no, the first, yeah, the closest to the mix. That's one thing that I find funny when people talk about vocal mics, and they say, "Oh, that mic is too thin," and then they record with a vintage C12, which is big and warm, and they end up carving out all the low end and boosting 15 dB of high end. And it's like, oh, you just made that thin.
Right.
True.
Do you ever use Audio Technica stuff?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, they have great stuff.
Yeah.
I've never seen you use a template or presets much. Are you anti-template, anti-preset?
Yeah. Presets, I'll use a preset for a starting, something I do every single time. So if I have a delay where I always set the knobs when I pull it up and I just get tired of having to set them, I'll do a preset for a starting point. But I don't do like EQ presets for bass drums or pianos or anything like that because every source is different. So if, I don't know if you, like if I take your Dave Pensado electric bass preset and I try to put it on a bass that I just recorded, the guy might have his knobs in a totally different position.
Still doesn't matter.
You know, that doesn't matter.
No. It works on everything.
No, okay.
Right. Your preset does.
There's people that cook with it.
I was
It's
going to
that
say I
good.
cooked with it last night.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then templates, so that's presets. As far as templates go, I find it makes me just kind of keep doing the same thing, and I get uninspired, and I stop being creative. So I'd rather take the 15 seconds it takes to make another track than have something already there. And something that's different from me from a lot of guys is I do so many different genres that the sessions are constructed wildly different, you know.
Right.
One day will be a 230 track K-pop session with 160 of that being vocals, and I'll have all these vocal subgroups, and then the next day it's, 30 tracks of a rock song, and I'll have a totally different setup for that. So not having a template keeps it fresh for me.
Speaking of K-pop, you just had a #1 record, a K-pop song #1 record, didn't you?
Yeah, a couple months ago.
Oh, congrats, man.
Yeah,
Very cool. Very cool.
By the way, a preset in the food world is called a TV dinner.
Okay. Thank you.
It's the best I can do.
We'll discuss it later.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, cool.
Get out the razor blade. Bob, one of the things that Herb and I have always felt like was the benchmark of Pensado's Place was we're so touched when people respond to us in an emotional way, either with something in terms of a physical ailment or sometimes different things that creep up in life and kind of rear their ugly head and kick you in the butt. And somehow, some people find us cathartic in that area. Your situation that you had when we first met was pretty amazing. Didn't you think, Herb?
Yeah, tell the story. It started with Maureen
Yeah,
being on the show.
I was born with a weird eye condition called keratoconus, and as you age, it's basically your corneas become warped and thinner, and so you get sensitive to light, and obviously
This is probably not doing you well.
No, I'm good now.
No, exactly.
Yeah. 5 years ago would have been horrible. Right. But you end up being sensitive to light, and you have, of course, vision problems. So I got to a point where they couldn't cut glasses to my prescriptions. I could only wear these special contact lenses. Wow. Then I got to the point where the lens wouldn't stay on one of my eyes. Wow. It would just fall off. So I was facing their really expensive operation that there was no way I could afford and was not covered by health insurance, or just not having my left eye.
Just losing your vision.
Yeah, so seeing out of one eye. And I kind of decided, okay, I'm going to have to save to afford that very expensive operation. And I just kind of made that decision. And one day I was watching Pensado's Place, and you guys had Maureen Droney on from Neris, and she was talking about music cares. So I Googled it and started researching and found out that they help engineers, musicians in need sometimes in those kind of circumstances. And they ended up paying for like 95% of that operation for me.
Isn't that incredible?
And I was able to get it a couple months later.
And to you. Because I tell you what happened to us. Either you sent an email or something and told us about it. Yeah. And as Dave alluded to earlier, we don't publicize the fact that a number of our audience around the globe, as they go through their challenges, they sometimes use the show from everything from comic relief to whatever. At AES in San Francisco, we had a sight disabled guy reach out, wanted us to contact Stevie Wonder because they wanted to talk to Apple and Avid about correcting something on Pro Tools, whatever version it was at that time, that made it easier for. And so Dave and I talked, which is what we always do, and I emailed the guy back and I said, no, like, you don't need Stevie. Let us connect you to these people. You tell them the story. We did. Apple and Avid met. They made the protocol change, and so we're up at AES in San Francisco, and Dave and I are. It's after a panel, and there's people around us, and we're taking pictures and stuff. And a guy came up with an assistant, a cane, and he basically just started crying on my chest, and he's about my size, which made me emotional. So it's just two big black guys crying. At some point in time, I was going, "Where's this going?" Anyways, the long and short of it was, he had been in the meeting. They had changed the protocol, and he was thanking us for his ability to still be a husband and a father that could make money because we're so descriptive, and then we helped with the thing. So as Dave and I started to chronicle over the years, the number of people who've reached out with a variety of issues. Some folks have been right at the edge of getting out of here, and they've said, "Hey, I started laughing, and you helped me." And so again, we don't go public with that. It's gone on for 4.5 years. But your story informed Dave and I and Maureen, co-author of our book, the power if we handle it right. Yeah. And I got to tell you, man, you're a benchmark for us because the fact that we knew you, and that we're all in LA, and you're here, and the Grammys are there, and we're here, and just putting those dots together made this happen. Dave and I were like, "This is serious stuff, man."
It was a lot of emotion to handle in one time. It kind of swelled up.
Yeah, we didn't think that could happen, and so anyways, one, I'm happy. Because because you're rocking it and you've been a friend, and two,
I can see you.
Yeah, and sometimes seeing him every day may not be what you want to do, but
but you can see how handsome I am.
Yeah, that's what exactly. But anyways, the ability to serve. Why don't you tee up your arm, sir? Let's get the batter's box.
Let's do it.
Because now he can see, and he's going to knock that damn ball out the park.
The reason I see Bobby every day is because I work out of his studio.
That's right.
Incredible place.
Fire away, buddy.
All right, Bob, you ready?
Yep.
Delay.
H delay.
Ooh, stereo bus.
Lots of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're going to come back to that.
Okay, I'll come back to that.
Reverb.
Bricasti.
Yes. The MT preset?
The MT preset. I don't know. Oh no, not that one. Not that one.
Snare.
Snare. Most of the time, just EQ. A little bit EQ.
Electric guitar.
The Waves, the UAD 1073 and maybe 1176.
Overheads.
Tracking, decking compressors, and Manley EQs, and then mixing maybe the SSL Waves compressor.
Distortion.
Decapitator.
Compressor.
The overstayer effect compressor.
Shout out to Jeff. Guitar pedal.
Guitar pedal. That's a hard one. Favorites are probably the full tone and maybe the Electro-Harmonix Qtron.
Okay. If your studio catches fire, what piece of gear are you going to run out with first?
The overstayer effect compressor.
All right. 808.
Just EQing the low end maybe with the metric halo channel strip.
Okay. Vocals.
Lots of stuff. C6, the CLA 76, channel strip, Massey de-esser, or the Fab Filter de-esser.
Okay. Last one. Bass. Your instrument.
Bass. I like the overstayer effect compressor on that, on a lot of basses. The Puig Child by Waves is actually a really favorite bass compressor of mine. And then I usually key my bass and kick together, sidechain the kick to the bass compressor, maybe with the R compressor.
Good news is we helped
I'm
him.
glad I got extra ones because that would have been a short batter's box.
Well, good news is we helped him. Bad news is that we helped him. That's the best batter's box off of IR, off of injured reserve. This is bat speed.
I got 14 things in.
Do you want to go back to the stereo bus?
Oh,
Yeah.
and now,
Now he's getting cocky.
It's a pictures duel. It's a challenge.
Okay.
Have at it.
All right. So the last probably 6 months, my stereo bus has been the Slate virtual tape machine, which I have a preset, which goes against what I did. And then the UAD Bax EQ, dangerous Bax EQ.
Dangerous.
Yeah, and then the soft tube one knob saturator that was free on the Avid site for a while.
Ooh.
Just a little bit of that.
Ooh.
And then API 2500 compressor.
I wonder why Cole was using the saturator on everything I get from him. Now I know he's copying you.
And we have another first. So he came off our injured reserve and killed it, and then he did a little clinic afterwards.
So,
I mean, this is a groundbreaking day.
Bob Horn place here.
You're at the place, Bobby Horn place.
Well, actually, every day I am.
Well, that's true. That's true. Let's introduce Csongor Gans. He's the Hungarian nutty case who just helps make our machine run. Csongor, how are you, sir?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah?
Yep.
You're over there doing your thing. I saw a picture you sent me last night. How many miles had you run at that point?
It was like 5 miles.
Oh, so it was a light night. And what time was it that you did that run?
I think I sent you at like 2 a.m.
2 a.m. Okay, cool. And then you hit me and said, can I come over and we do some work? And
Exactly.
I didn't answer.
So it was normal night.
And so let's get a couple questions in for our guest, Bobby Horn.
Sounds good. This first one's from Theodore Slavov. Do you mix in mono? And if you do, what are you sonically focusing on?
Ooh, great question. Do you mix in mono?
Oh, mixing in mono. Not really. I kind of follow the rules of not putting anything out of phase or too extra wide to the sides, and I kind of do LCR panning it with most of the meat and potatoes of a mix. Hard left, hard right, and right up the center. So everything's pretty safe for me in mono. I really don't get too experimental.
Cool. Csongor, give us another one.
From Jordan Pollock. What are your favorite reference mixes for low end?
Favorite references?
He doesn't use references. I never see the guy use he's got like this ROM chip in his head. Okay, let me hear this. Just make something up. I know.
All right.
He said, all right.
Our buddy Dylan Dresdo's I'm a Bee.
Okay.
It's a great 808 reference.
Yeah.
Boy, it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Eminem Business off of his second album.
Mm-hmm.
That's, if you're wondering how loud your kick drum can get, if you stay underneath that, you're fine.
Okay.
Those two, and then maybe some stuff that I worked on. No, it's not necessarily because of me, just because of the sounds that the producers used.
Mm-hmm.
I might use as a reference just for something that I know.
Csongor, you got one more?
Yep, from Jeremy Glover. What's your most unique miking technique?
Most used
Your
microphone?
most unique miking technique.
Oh, miking technique. Most unique?
Yeah.
Most unique.
Probably that time you mic'd the bathroom at that party we had at the barbecue.
That was the most illegal.
Oh,
And I'd say probably unique, too.
I do a
Is that file
weird,
somewhere?
I do a weird thing with hi-hat where I mic it from the underneath. In all except a couple cases, there's a model of Zildjian cymbal that has holes in the bottom, and I don't do it on those. But on most other hi-hat cymbals, it sounds good, and I mic it underneath, angled away from the snare drum, and I don't get hardly any snare drum in my hi-hat. So that's unique.
pretty cool.
Pretty cool. The time flies when you're having fun, but the last question I would say is, did you take some time yesterday and because you're coming on the show, go and get a haircut?
I did.
Okay, cool.
No, I did that.
Oh, you cut it.
It was an edit.
Ah, you're so talented, man.
We were
It was also very much needed. I was
cool.
looking pretty shaggy.
I just was hoping for us. Bob, you're a great friend.
Thanks for having me
First
again.
of many. We're going to drag you around to some of these live events we do. I think the audience would love to hear
Yeah.
from him.
Yeah.
Kind of want to go to Nashville. Sounds exciting.
Come on down, man. We'd love to have you. I'd like to announce it next week. because it's, one, your pedigree, and two is Live Tracking Central. Live tracking, an art form that you should absolutely make sure you brush up on, no matter what you work in today.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Having that background is a critical thing, correct?
Yeah, keep you working.
If nothing else, just what Swadine said, that sometimes you should go to live events so you can have a reference in your mind of what things should sound like.
Sure did.
So,
Bobby, thank you. Dave, take us home.
okay. Hey guys, nobody on earth is blessed more than me in the audio space. I've just got some great friends, and we just sat across the desk from one today. I actually have shown some into the layers from things I learned from Bob. I'm working at a studio these days, and man, you need to pay attention to everything he said. Check out some of the records that he's done, and you'll learn some stuff that I stole from Bob. So, and don't remind me of that, please. But the point is, it's mixing isn't a solo effort. You got to have friends. There's just too much information in the world today to try and dig it all out by yourself. Get a network of guys and make sure they're more talented than you. You don't want to have friends around you that are less talented. And I'm blessed that I've got a myriad of those. So anyway, we'll see you next week.